Okay, now let's go to section 15 and look at the electrons addendum. So there are three things, again, as there are in many of these addendums, that we're going to go over that have been added to the new exam. So first of all, we're going to talk about wires and voltage. Wire lengths. Why don't we call this wire lengths? Wire lengths. So the main concept here is this. The longer the wire is between your power source and your radio, the power source being the thing that provides power to the radio, the longer that wire is, it turns out the less voltage ends up at your radio. So as you make that wire longer, less voltage ends up at your radio. Now, this can be a good big problem because your radio needs enough voltage to operate correctly. If it doesn't get enough voltage, it's not going to work properly. It may not even turn on. So because of this, you should strive to use wire that is as short as possible to make sure enough voltage gets to your radio. So use short wire, as short as possible. All right, the second thing is the minimum current capacity. So this is a new question on the ham radio exam. They've added a question where they ask what must be considered to determine the minimum current capacity needed for a transceiver's power supply. And all you need to know for this question, you can study the exact wording and the choices on your own in the manual, but a handy trick is that all the choices are going to be correct when they ask about this. So when they ask about the minimum current capacity needed to a transceiver's power supply, all the choices are going to be correct. All the choices will be correct when they ask this type of question. Unfortunately, I do have it in front of me. So they'll ask, there will be four choices: efficiency of the transmitter at full power output, the receiver and control circuit power, the power supply regulation, and heat dissipation. Anyway, I'll let you read that on your own when you study this question in the manual. Just remember this little trick. All right, third and last of all, we're going to talk about transistors a little more in depth. So a transistor is really useful because it provides power gain in an RF amplifier. And I'll explain what that means after I write this. So what this basically means is it provides an increase of power. In layman's terms, this transistor provides an increase of power for the RF amplifier. It's in technical terms, in ham radio language, it's the primary gain producing component. So transistors are very important when it comes to RF power amplifiers. That's a new question that's on your ham radio exam. And that's it for this addendum. So now you can now go and next lecture is a lot of fun. So definitely look forward to it. And I think you'll find we're also using electricity. We're talking about electricity and we're going more into the math, but I think you'll find the math really isn't that bad. And if you can do basic multiplication and division, and you can, you'll be perfectly fine. So I will see you then.